This is him trying to just hit the right-wing notes. Like, this is when you don't have enough, like, brain processing capability to, like, come up with a coherent perspective, and you just immediately start the conversation with, like, he's saying something, so obviously I disagree with it. Here.
You going to the front line?
Hey, look who it is!
We're going out here.
Are you streaming?
Tear gas is going. I'm on Instagram right now. I just got banned on TikTok.
Wait,
so
oh, because...
they're crazy. Yeah. So,
were you down there?
I was just down there. We were just in front of the police, so
yeah.
they did a little bit of gassing and they're continuing to push people back, but everyone's remaining strong, so
good.
Just got to make sure that we keep it up. Are you trying to get down there?
I was down there. We backed away after we were down there.
Understandable.
And then, you know, once they started flashbanging and gassing, we were like, might as well move back up here.
Yeah. I mean, we're still, the amount of people here is still... So we've been, obviously the big narratives that we're going to see tomorrow is like people saying that everyone's coming here to do just this. And when there's unrest and when there's unjust institutions, stuff like this is going to happen. But how would you kind of quell the fears of people who support the cause but see this and start to get second thoughts?
I mean, it's property damage at the end of the day. Look, we're right here. We're not doing anything. And I don't feel like I'm under threat. I'll tell you when I feel like I'm under threat. Cops are tear gassing us when we're on the side of the road, even when we're not even on the road. You know, that's like property damage at the end of the day is only consequential because it hurts humans, right? It hurts. It hurts people's profit margins and therefore potentially their bottom line and therefore their livelihoods. But a lot of people worry about property damage for the sake of property damage in themselves. This is to say like this is, you know, all great, but But at the end of the day, it's not like a terrifying situation at all. Seeing it on television obviously feels a lot different than just like being right here. When you're right here, you realize it's nothing to be that fearful of. And ultimately, what is far more consequential and far more dangerous is the fact that ICE is unjustifiably kidnapping people, doing dragnets in neighborhoods, lying about how migrants are criminals. And then going after children and women and working families and people that are just at their job sites.
Yeah, I mean,
that's far more important to focus on than a bunch of people, you know, breaking a Waymo.
Yeah, and I think, like, do we really have to baby talk to liberals like that? Yeah, I mean, I think so. But even then, there are plenty of people who refuse to hear what I have to say. I think, like, XQC was live responding to it, and his chat was eating his alive in the process, because I saw something that he was saying, like, he's like, dude, what if they burned his Porsche, dude? What if they burned his Porsche, dude? Then he wouldn't say it's inconsequential, dude. And it's like it's so stupid. It's so incredibly stupid. Where is it? There's like a video for it. I'm pretty sure I saw a video. I think it was on Ostwit, the community. I mean, he's just hitting, from what I understand, he was saying something like criticizing why Hasan is wearing a flag. I don't know what flag I'm wearing. I'm not really wearing a flag. Claims Hasan doesn't believe what he preaches as Hasan is out in the streets in the middle of the anti-ICE protest, crashes out about 9/11 jokes. Oh, he's wearing not a flag, a mask. Never mind. But I think there was a decent amount of pushback from his own community for this, so that's good. I'm glad that the juicers are on the right side of history. At least enough of them are. And they basically realize that like, he's doing the right-wing heel turn that he's been entertaining for a while. But basically, like, he immediately goes, oh, dude, you wouldn't have the same feeling if this was, you wouldn't have the same feeling if this was your own car. It's like, first of all, yes, you're right. There is a difference. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course. Of course. But secondly, even if someone were to burn my leased car, like, I still have insurance. If the alternative is like someone burns randomly my leased car, but in the process that person doesn't go out and, like, I don't know, kill someone, then yeah, that's a far more preferable outcome. That's what I'm saying. It's not nice. It's not great. It's awful. Like, it's such a stupid take.
It hurts people's profit margins and therefore potentially their bottom line and therefore their livelihoods. But a lot of people worry about property damage for the sake of property damage in itself. To say like this is, you know.
The worst part about this also is that he doesn't understand the point I'm making. I'm not saying that, like, not only is it a false equivalence, but also I'm not saying like this is good, this is great. I really love that they're burning Waymos. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm simply saying is the reason why people care about property damage is because it hurts people, right? Like that's the reason why you're supposed to care about property damage, because somewhere along the way there is a person, a human being whose livelihood might be potentially harmed by this, right? And that person didn't deserve it, right? Like a storefront owner, a small business owner that has their storefront smashed and has their inventory stolen, right? Like that person didn't deserve it. I'm not saying that they deserve it, but the reason why you care about that is because that's an innocent person whose livelihood was harmed. And if you care about the livelihood of innocent people to that degree, then you should absolutely care about the much more consequential, unjustifiable actions by ICE, the federal government. Because what do you think happens to poor people that are simply trying to work, that are collaborating and cooperating with the immigration enforcement authorities, and for the false belief, the naivete that they have that this system is supposed to be lawful, they get treated like numbers on a board in order to prove a political point. They get arrested at court hearings, right? At immigration court, when they are in the process, of like following through their asylum application, when they're at their school graduations. What good does that do to this country? It actually only has downsides, no upsides whatsoever. That's my point. My point is, if you care about a Waymo being burned, you should care about immigrants being burned, okay? Immigrants being shipped off to a CCOP facility with no due process. That's infinitely more consequential to human lives, okay? That's it. Like, reorient your priority. Now, getting back to like Waymos in particular, it's as close as you can get to a victimless crime, okay? You're impacting the bottom line of a faceless, lifeless Silicon Valley corporation. It's not good, but the reason why it's not good, because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Light an electric battery operated car on fire in the middle of a crowded area, because a lot of people are inhaling those toxic fumes and it could potentially explode. Okay, EV fires are dangerous as that is the real danger. But yeah, I'm just clearing up this misunderstanding because I know a lot of people have this misunderstanding. A lot of people get their notes from apolitical charlatans like that are basically hitting the right-wing grift. The libtards are not helping their cause, from a guy who does not care about the cause and is simply using it to farm some clicks. Toenail eater guy famous for never showing up to events, and the tooth blood wall guy famous for never leaving his biohazard house have some thoughts on how to effectively protest law. This isn't a third world country. This is Los Angeles. My point isn't to say it's good in the Waymos. I'm not like LARPing, okay? It is dangerous. It is dangerous. It's dangerous to the protesters. Dangerous to inhale those toxic fumes. Dangerous to also, dangerous to inhale those toxic fumes. And certainly dangerous if it explodes, okay? But once again, if you have this kind of energy for Waymos, it's like, it almost comes across like XQC cares more, like XQC would be more mad if ICE agents were actually deporting Waymos instead of immigrants. You know what I mean? Like if they were... God forbid, ICE agents would deport, or harm capital. That would be way scarier than the actual human beings. Like, you have to understand, you can only arrive at this conclusion if you kind of feel like all of the undocumented migrants, or even documented migrants that are going through the application process, for example, they kind of deserve to be deported. They kind of deserve to be removed from this country's borders. Now, XQC himself is a immigrant, so it makes it even funnier for him to have this dumbass take. He's literally Canadian, and the people that they are ripping away from their families and their communities are infinitely more productive members of society, okay? XQC does not know how to put a drywall together, okay? in a matter of days. In the same way that the Latino dude that's like sitting outside of Home Depot that's getting removed from the United States of America borders does. All right? Those motherfuckers picking crops. They're working. They're incredibly hardworking people, and they get fucked over. They should be getting paid more. They should be getting their proper documentation from the government, not being removed after spending years on U.S. soil as tax-paying citizens. Because think about how little this makes sense. Trump administration claims that they're going after criminals. They're going after rapist migrant criminals or whatever, right? Obviously, when anybody on U.S. soil is doing a heinous crime, they go through the proper channels. They get prosecuted. They go to jail and maybe even subsequently get deported after they go through their jail sentence. All right? That is the law. That is what's been going on under every single administration. But what is this administration doing? They're going to job sites. How do they know that there are undocumented migrants at job sites? Oh, that's right. Because they get the information from the IRS. Now we know that the IRS is collaborating under the Trump administration with ICE. But wait a minute. I thought these guys didn't pay taxes. So how does the IRS know that there are migrants working at a job site? Oh, that's right, because they do pay taxes. So literally everything that these people have made up about undocumented migrants and documented migrants across the board is just entirely made up. Entirely. Okay? I'll take it one step further. These guys, why don't they follow the law? Why don't they come in the right way? Okay, well, I'll have you know, ICE, when they apprehend someone at a courthouse, is actually apprehending someone and deporting them for following the law, for doing things the right way. Why the is the migrant at the courthouse, dumbass? It's because they're going to an immigration court hearing. These are people who have been here for like 10 years. They have American citizen partners that they're married to, and the government keeps them in this limbo status deliberately, okay? Instead of giving them citizenship, they say, hey, listen, ICE has this protocol where they'll say, just check in with us every couple of months and you're fine. You have authorization. You're a tax-paying worker on U.S. soil, and you're fine. All of a sudden, Trump comes in and the Trump administration wants to make a point about, black and brown people getting deported. Now ICE decides you're no longer fine. So they're punishing people for following the law. They're not actually going after rugged criminals. They're going after people that are following the letter of the law. What happened? What happened to deporting? None of it makes sense when you think about it. Getting back to like a big misunderstanding, a major misunderstanding is the reaction from XQC that like resembles, I think, the normie perspective a little bit. Like the normie perspective on the right is basically, dude, why do these guys burn cars, dude? And dude, that's fucked up, dude. It's so much worse than anything else, dude.
All great, but,
right?
But at the end of the day, it's not like a terrifying situation at all. Seeing it on television obviously feels a lot different than just like being right here. When you're right here, you realize.
Yo, in the bottom of my heart, I'm telling you, he doesn't believe in what he's saying. I'm sorry. I don't refuse to. If he is, I don't know what to say. I feel bad. It's just sad, really. I don't know.
Migrants are criminals.
This is him trying to just hit the right-wing notes. Like, from the bottom of my heart, dude, he's just bad. This is when you don't have enough, like, brain processing capability to, like, come up with a coherent perspective. And you just immediately start the conversation with, like, he's saying something, so obviously I disagree with it. This is what happens when you're getting your notes from, like, Asmongold or Sex Pestiny, and you have you've fallen into the rookie hole, as he likes to say, because you've decided that your entire view on this is whatever I'm saying, I'm going to interpret in the least charitable way possible, and then immediately approach it in an antagonistic way.
Rapists, and then going after children and women.
Like, what I'm literally stating here is, if you care about Waymo's burning because at the end of the day that hurts someone's profit margins and therefore their livelihood, then you should be infinitely more angry at like real human beings being kidnapped, which is the inflection point. That is the reason why people are protesting right now. You should also, in real time, look at people being harmed right outside of the frame of the camera, where cops are just basically pumping people full of tear gas, beating the shit out of them. Like that's real harm. That's harm that's happening right now, okay? That's harm that is happening in real time in the background. My point is, it is infinitely more important than the cars burning down. Okay. Breaking: a full Marine battalion, or around 500 Marines based out of 29 Palms in California, have been mobilized to respond to protests in LA. Sources tell me, and Hal Brits, CNN's Natasha Bertrand is covering it. Hexit had put them on prepare to deploy orders over the weekend. The deployment of the full Marine battalion marks a significant escalation in Trump's use of the military as a show of force against protesters, but it is unclear what their task will be once in LA. The sources said, like the National Guard troops, they are prohibited from conducting law enforcement activity like making arrests unless Trump invokes the Insurrection Act. Okay? Oh, brother. How do these compare to the police presence of the protests in LA back in 2020? Are the police, law enforcement more aggro? I mean, it's more or less the same, probably a little bit more aggro for how marginal these protests have been so far. Yes, you are correct, but you weren't that clear and articulate when you said it yesterday in the clip. No, I was. If you actually watch the clip, instead of pausing midway and start talking about how, or silencing me midway and start talking about how, how I'm wrong and bad and stupid, yeah, of course you're going to arrive at that conclusion. I said the exact same thing yesterday. Also, I said it in the middle of a protest. Like there's explosive ordnance going off in the background, It's going to be a little bit more difficult to be clear and concise. And even then, I think it was fairly clear and fairly concise. No, I saw it, but I found you far more clear today now. Oh, you mean to tell me that I'm more clear when I'm sitting in my studio and not when there's when there's like 3 on fire Waymos right besides me in the middle of a situation where there's cops that are deploying explosive ordnance? That's crazy, man. So you agree with him? Why are we ripping into this guy? Well, that guy already acknowledged that was a stupid point to bring up, number one. And number two, I basically used more words to describe the exact same thing now. Of course, it's easier for me to say what I mean when I'm in my studio as opposed to being outside in real time while the protest is unfolding, and there are, again, explosive ordinances popping off above my head. But XQC was reacting to that clip, not what you're saying right now, and XQC isn't very smart, so I agree with the chatter. I know XQC isn't very smart, but you know who else isn't very smart? You. Okay? Because what you're supposed to do in that situation is to try and understand the point that I'm making instead of immediately silencing me and then speaking over me. But that's not what he did.
What do you think he would post on Twitter? What do you think he would say on stream?
Also, he brings up a totally irrelevant point as a counter to be like, what if your car was on fire? Okay? Yeah.
If he came back to his Porsche on fire.
Wow, I can't believe he didn't listen to my point because he muted me. I guess that's my problem here. If you want to hear what I was saying there, without mutes, here it is.
Worry about property damage for the sake of property damage in of itself. This isn't to say like this is, all great, but right. But at the end of the day, it's not like a terrifying situation at all. Seeing it on television obviously feels a lot different than just like being right here. When you're right here, you realize it's nothing to be that fearful. And ultimately, what is far more consequential and far more dangerous is the fact that ICE is unjustifiably kidnapping people, doing dragnets in neighborhoods, lying about how migrants are criminals, and then going after children and women and working families and people that are just at their job sites. Yeah, I mean, that's far more important to focus on than a bunch of people fucking, breaking a Waymo. Like, I don't give a shit. Fuck Waymos.
No, seriously. And the majority of the people are here just because they believe in the cause. They're not here to, encourage this type of stuff. But this is always going to happen when there are unjust detainees and when there's people that are just being removed from communities simply because of what paperwork they have.
Yeah. Here's the thing. There's a social contract, right? We have institutions. We have laws. And we have this belief that if we exist in a society alongside others, that our institutions are going to take care of us. They're going to be just. They're going to be honest. They're going to protect citizens. And when that falls apart, when that social contract falls apart, people are understandably disturbed. People are understandably angry, and they lash out. These kinds of consequences of decentralized property damage is an inevitability, and it's yet another testament to the collapse of this system.
There you go. Pretty fairly clear and concise, don't you think? Of course, it's not going to come across as clear and concise if you mute me midway through the point that I'm making and then start screaming about how I have a Porsche. Wow, that's so crazy. Do you understand? Stop watching people that are not interested in good faith analysis and are simply trying to cut content, not even because they have personally held convictions that make me their ideological enemy. Because XQC, at the end of the day, isn't even like a right winger, okay? He's just doing this because he knows people will respond positively to it. That's it. The actual right wingers are looking for someone to say on to. He's grifting. Yeah, he's operating out of spite. He hates me, and that's it. That's the only framework that he's using here. That's it.